Hey there, this is Brian. Welcome back to a new video. This video again is going to be on my 2019 Infiniti Q50S Signature Edition rear-wheel drive 3.0T. So let's jump into the video. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in today. Today I'm going to go over some things that all the things that I've done to my car that I've really enjoyed and have worked out well. So buckle up and stay tuned, and we're going to go into those things here now. So one of the things I want to start off with today that's small, but I really like when I get into my car and I just really appreciate are these floor mats. And these are the basic things that you can do to you know, kind of upgrade the interior of your car. And these are made by these mats are called these 3D mats. I'll give you more details here in a picture and show you that. But I'm really liking the texture of these mats. They're pretty heavy duty. They're just made differently than a couple of the other really popular all-weather mats, and these mats match really well to my speaker grills. I mean, they're almost an identical match. Also too, they match really well to my seats as far as the texture and the little perforations in the seat. So it really fits in with the car interior. It looks like it was just perfectly made for this interior of this car. And so these are one thing that I get in every day, and I sit in my seat and then I flip my legs over and get ready to start the car, and I'm like, man, I really like those floor mats. So that's one of the first things that I want to bring in the video are these floor mats. And they're just really cool floor mats. All right. Okay, so the next accessory that I want to talk about to you guys is my phone mount. When it comes to the phone mount, I was pretty particular. I want it to be really clean on the interior and really simple, and wanted it to be located, you know, real quickly where I get my hands and my vision can go to. So I didn't want something that plugged into the vents. I didn't want you know, some contraptions that stuck to the dash or anything that would mess up any of the finish on the car. So I ended up with this piece right here. It's a little swivel head. Let's see if I can pull it off. It's stuck really well on there, but this faceplate should come off. I don't want to pull it off, but it will come off, but it's magnetized right here, and then the base sticks right here to the plastic on the screen, and it's just by adhesive. So, you know, in the end, when I sell the car or whatever I do, I mean, that will come off, but it won't come off easily. So this little piece mounts right here, and then my cell phone has a metal piece on the back right here. And then what that does is that just fits on right to there. And then my phone is perfectly right here. And then it's adjustable. You can turn it if you want to sit in here and watch videos or whatever you want to do. But you turn it on. I have a little bit larger phone than, you know, some people want. And that's just for my eyesight and my visibility, but you know, your Draggy and your Ecutech app and your DJI drone app and all kinds of different Pandora and different things. I don't have on the Apple CarPlay on the 2019. This is an Android phone, but yeah, so I have easy access to pull up my Ecutech and you know, data log the car, and then my Draggy to Draggy the car and get my performance times. And so I really like this setup. Very simple, and it works really well for me. So I wanted to share that with everybody. Pretty much all these things I have made videos on before, but in this video I'm just putting them all together, and hopefully this will, you know, help new people or people that have had their car for a while, or maybe it's just an interesting video to watch, you know, something different than the other videos. But yeah, so I have everything right there. And it mounts really well. I can touch this and it's not going to fall off. Yeah, so then it's just a really clean look. Really simple. Okay, moving on to number 3. Okay, for number 3, I wanted to share my radar detector setup. And yet again, I made a video on this, but putting everything together. This is my radar detector, basically a passport. radar detector, and it's mounted up here really high towards my mirror. I'm not going to be able to back up too much because of the layout of the car, but locating it in this position up here at the very, very top puts it really out of my way, and it also puts it out of the way of criminals. If a criminal knows it's in here, then yeah, I mean, they're going to know it's in here, but it's really disguised up here at the top like this, and then it mounts. It's really mounted out of the way. Then that wire, it curves around and goes up behind this little black piece right here, and then it runs through the molding down the side right here, and then down the pillar, and then it will go down to the fuse box right there where I have installed an add a fuse and then wired that in correctly. And so I'm really excited. You know, when I get in, I don't even notice this. I don't know, excited is the term I need to say, but I don't even notice that's there until it goes off. And this is a really good radar detector that I have, and it will catch police officers on the, you know, running not LiDAR, but because LiDAR is very hard to detect and get it detected before they've got you. But this one here will go off like 2 miles, 3 miles before I even need it to, you know, before I need to start slowing down. And so it works really well. And I have not gotten a ticket while I've had this for about the past 5 years. It's out of the way and you can't see it very well from the outside. And I will show you that here in a minute, because a lot of thieves will see your radar detector stuck in, you know, right here in this position or sitting on your dash, and they will smash your window to get your radar detector. So that's out of the way, hidden, and makes it a little more difficult to see. So let me get out of the car and show you what it looks like on the outside. So because of the glare of the windshield, you really can't see it. The only thing you can see, if you really, really look, is the outline of my double-side sticky tape, black, so that it's hidden, and then it's on this pattern. You're not going to be able to see it real well, but trust me, there's this little dot matrix pattern on the windshield right, and there's the mirror, and so there's the sonar, front sonar, so it really disguises it right there, so it's really hard to see. All right, for number 4, we're gonna pop the hood and look at some things that I've done under the hood, okay? So bear with me. All right, so now we've got the hood popped, and these are 2 things that I think are essential. Well, one thing that is essential for the VR30 or any car that is direct injection and has no port injection, and it is keeping your valves clean, your intake valves in particularly. Very, very important to keep your intake valves clean, because that makes the car run better. It starts up easier. You get better gas mileage. I see a lot of people complaining or mentioning that their cars only get, you know, 18, 19 miles to the gallon. But my car gets consistently about 28, you know, 25 to 28 in the city, and upwards of 33 to 34 miles per the gallon on the highway. I installed the Mishimoto catch can on the car about when it had 300 to 400 miles from it being brand new. And so I put it on very, very early, and I have, with this, and its micron filter that it's built with, designed with, it catches all the contaminants and blow-by that would otherwise go straight into the intake right here, actually right here. It would actually go into the intake right here. I highly recommend the Mishimoto catch can. I've gotten a couple of people to see the light and buy the catch can for their cars. I don't think it's necessarily as important for people that have 40,000 miles already on their car, unless they get a new engine and new turbos, because by then, by at least 15,000 miles, the oil has done what it's going to do, and it's already started really coating your valves. And I know this for a fact because of different cars that were direct injection and turbocharged. I took the manifold off and looked in there and checked the valves, looked at them, and was just mortified at how much oil and just about 10 to 12,000 miles was on the intake valves. So very, very important. So I really like this Mishimoto catch can right here. An awesome piece of equipment to have on your car for protection. No performance advantage, but just protection. And then next, we won't be able to see, but I want to show you that I'm very, very happy with, is my PLM heat exchanger. The PLM heat exchanger has to do with these intercoolers. These are top mount intercoolers, and what they do, and this right here, this is your radiator coolant tank. This is the heat exchanger coolant tank right here. So all this right here, this, and the heat exchanger, which is mounted directly below this area right here, and you can't see it. So, but you have to take my word for it. If you're new to this car, the PLM heat exchanger sits behind the Infiniti logo. AMS makes a great heat exchanger, of course. Mishimoto makes probably the very, very next best heat exchanger. And then the PLM is kind of a copy of the AMS, and so it is very, very designed very closely to the AMS, and it fits in there really, really well, and it does an awesome job on keeping the intake coolant temps relatively cooler than other options out on the market. But so I wanted to share that with you. I love my PLM heat exchanger that I installed. I had a Berger Motorsports before, and I consider this a little bit of an upgrade. It's not a massive upgrade from the Berger Motorsports, but it definitely excels in some areas and keeps the intake charge a little bit cooler, the compressed air a little bit cooler. So there you go. All right, next in line that's up here under the motor is the AMS air boxes. I see a lot of discussions, or I have in the past. I'm not necessarily looking for info anymore or trying to see what other people's opinions are or what they think, but I am highly satisfied with the AMS air boxes and air filters, conical air filters that they provide with their intake tubes to the turbos, because the turbo is basically right there on the driver's side and right here on the passenger side, just slightly down from my finger from this area. So these air boxes are awesome, and they are designed by AMS, so we know they're designed the best product for this application. And all the fast cars, most of the fast cars have these installed on them. So just a great piece of equipment to add to your car, and this will add performance with a proper tune from a good tuner. But most of it will be to the mid-range, to the top end, where this car with these little tiny turbos, that's where you want to add a little bit of gain due to these small turbos. So these are great to have. They're easy to clean. They're not terrible to mount up, but I really, really like the AMS air boxes, and they provide more flow for the turbos at the mid-range to the top end power band of this car. So that is another performance accessory part that I added that I really, really enjoy and don't regret. I got these on sale 2 Christmases ago, about I think $3.99. I didn't pay. I don't think they're as good a deal or worth, you know, $4.99 or $5.99. So I saved some money and I got those, and I do not regret those at all. So consider some AMS air boxes and get it done right, and know it's done right per AMS. Okay, to show you my next modification or my next accessory that I added to the car, I've got to get underneath the car. So I'm going to turn the camera around and we're going to climb under there, and I'm just going to show you a couple of pieces that I like that work well for me, that were not terrible to put on. One of them was a little bit more detailed to put on, but the other was a direct bolt-on. But I think it helps my car in ways that I need it to work. And direct kind of bolt-on, you didn't have to modify anything. So hang tight while I flip the camera around and show you two pieces that I like, and maybe you would like too. So hang on, hang tight. Under the car here, it's going to be difficult to actually see the piece, but you're just going to have to trust me. Under this subframe, this car in particular has subframes. There are additional parts of the frame mounted to the actual main portion of the frame of the vehicle, and they will hold like the front end and the motor on the front subframe, and the rear subframe holds the drivetrain and kind of holds the drive shaft where it needs to be, and the rear differential, and it helps, you know, to give you momentum for your rear tires. But here's the rear subframe, and there is what's called the Z1 Motorsports subframe bushing collars, and they mount right in here, and I'll show you a picture here. So basically, to install those, you will need to take your subframe down. So it's a little bit more of an involved process, but you have to drop your subframe and then insert the collars, one on the bottom upwards and one on the top facing downwards. And so right up in here and right here. But the subframe's bushing collars, what they do is they add stiffness to the rear end, because the factory units are softer and they're more of a rubber bushing, a complete rubber bushing, so the rear end floats around a little bit, you know, it has a little bit of leeway from left to right and up and down, and so it makes the ride a little bit more comfortable, but you lose a little bit of that performance edge. So what the subframe, the Z1 Motorsports subframe bushing collars does is adds that stiffness back to your rear end, and when you have that little bit more connection of your rear tires. So, okay, for the next part that I've put on the car that I enjoy, and I've seen some performance results per my Draggy app, increased 0 to 60 and 60 foot times acceleration, is the Pride Auto rear diff brace. I like this piece generally because it's just a simple bolt-on. It just requires no modifications, no welding or anything, or cutting of any part of the subframe or the differential housing, but basically it just ties in right here. It ties into one point, which is not the most optimum, but again, it's a simple bolt-on piece and it wasn't very expensive. Mounts to the subframe right here, and then the lower portion mounts with 3 bolts to the rear differential, and basically what that does is that keeps the differential from torquing under the high torque of these cars, the 3.0 T turbo cars, and just allows a little bit more planning of the rear tires over here and over here. So I think this is a great addition. Pride Auto, it was like $107, and just adds a little bit more stiffness to this area. This bushing right here, let me move my camera up, hang tight. This bushing right here is rubber, and when you are under hard acceleration and compression braking, this rubber piece, which is mounted to the differential, really moves up and down, and you can see it when you're getting on the gas. You can see it moving forward and up and down and bouncing around in basically 360-degree direction. So again, this helps to stabilize the rear differential. So I like this part, no matter what some people will say. This is the next part which I will recommend to people and I like in general. Okay, as you can see, I'm in different clothes, and I got my camera back from DJI, and guess what? My camera is still effing up, and it missed a whole bunch of my video footage. So I'm out here again. I had to go home and take a shower, did a little bit of yard work, and how troubling, it messes up my video and the flow. But I'm out here again, and I got to just make a couple more little portions of the video so that it fills in the spots that I didn't that the camera didn't record. So here we go. All right, I upgraded my brakes from my standard brakes. My car is, again, a signature edition, so it got a combination of some of the sport exterior and some other of the cool interior features, but it did not get the larger brakes. And so when I got the car new, I had an instance where I had a close call and I really had to stomp on the brakes to avoid getting into an accident, and I was not pleased with the brake performance. So I looked up on R1 Concepts website, did some research, found out they make pretty good brake components, and so I went with their drilled and slotted rotors that fit my factory car, the small brakes, and then I went with the R1 Concepts ceramic pads, and I've been very, very happy with these. It meets all my needs. I don't go to the racetrack around the corners or carve any mountains around here in Dallas. So these brakes work really, really well for me, and they really improved my braking and performance. I also recommended to some of the friends that are people that have watched my videos on YouTube, and they've reached out to R1 Concepts and bought new pads and rotors, and they really, really like their rotors too and their pad setup. So yeah, this is a great thing that you can do to your car. Even if you have the big brakes, upgrade your rotors and the pads and you'll see dramatic performance differences. So that is definitely something that you should look into. We're at the back of the car, and this is a part which I shopped around for. I knew what was out on the market and not necessarily happy with what else was out. This is my MagnaFlow rear or cat back, and that means the exhaust from the cats back to the rear of the car. So there's a performance high flow muffler included with this kit, and two between 12 and 13 inch resignators, and so this with an X pipe. Let me explain that too. So this is a great performance exhaust if you don't want to increase your sound and the raspiness and the annoyance of a lot of exhaust systems. All right, what I was explaining before my camera cut out, the MagnaFlow exhaust is a gorgeous exhaust. It looks good, it sounds good, it performs well, it's not too loud. But then I wanted to express that, I just don't believe that, 4 cylinders and 6 cylinders sound anything close to what I like. So when it comes to magnifying that sound, I'm just not into it. So it's hard to make a V6 or a 4-cylinder turbo car sound good. In my opinion, the only motors that sound worthwhile in upgrading and making louder and tuning the exhaust note is obviously a V8, an LS motor, a 5.0 Mustang Ford motor, or a Dodge 392 or a Hellcat or a Corvette. These cars, for sure, louder exhaust, Corsa exhaust or something, sounds really, really good. I just don't think that my intentions were to make this exhaust louder, because the sound is just not that great in my opinion. Rear tire choice on these cars is essential if you're chasing performance numbers and you're a performance guy. I've got the Toyo Proxys R, 888Rs, and 285. All 4 of my wheels are 19-inch wheels. I'm not necessarily happy. I'm going to try to convey this quickly and simply. These are really, really great tires. Probably one of the best tires. That's a street tire, a legit street tire from this car. For this car, I've driven this in the rain, in the heavy rain, on the highway, at highway speeds, which is not, super, super highly recommended. But these got me, on a 3-hour trip. These got me where I needed to go on the highway. I mean, I'm going to say there wasn't one sketchy moment where I hydroplaned a little bit, but it didn't spin me off the highway, damage my car. So these are good tires, but what people may not consider, when I first bought this car, I was just buying this car and I knew the tires needed to be upgraded because the run flats were such poor quality. I'm not the high-end tire, but a poor ride quality. That's the run flat tires. So I immediately knew that because of noise and performance that I wanted to get away from the run flat tires. So I bought the Pirelli P0 Nero GT summer tire, treadwear 280, but those were only the 8.5 inch rims, the factory rims, and then they were only 245 wide. So with 500 horsepower and 500 estimated torque, those tires are not going to cut it, even though they are a grippier tire and a better tire. I really like them. I still have them at home, but for my kind of racing around purposes and using my Draggy app and kind of chasing some numbers, you definitely need at least 285 width tires on this rear end of this car to help you out. Some people run 305s, but that was a little wide for me. If this wheel travels up in any instance a little bit more than what it needs to, it's going to hit my fenders and crinkle my fenders up. Basically, when you go with a little bit smaller wheel, a 17 or an 18 inch wheel, or even smaller than that, you have better tire options that are geared specifically towards just traction on the street or at the drag strip. So that's a big decision that you need to make, is what your end goal is and what size aftermarket wheel you're going to go with, or what your car comes equipped with. And so that's going to help form your direction that you want to go with your tire choices. And tire choices are so expensive these days. The next tire that I would probably like to try is going to be the Mickey Thompson Street SS series tire. But in 19 inch, it comes, the only option for me is the 285 1935 tire. So that may not be any better than the R888R. It may be a little bit better. We'll just see how the compound works out when I get that tire, and I'll obviously do a review. But so you need to really make sure, you know, when you buy wheels, that you don't make the wrong decision and buy the wrong size, you know, for your ultimate end goal, because then you have extra wheels sitting around, and wheels are not cheap. I think these were about $1,750 for all four, and these are Flowform. They're the Verde wheels. Good wheels, probably not my best choice, but I like them in general. But yeah, so that's the wheel stuff. That's the wheel big decision that you need to make if you're going to go that route. I know the sun's going to be kind of jacked up right now, but I appreciate you sticking in and checking out my video. Hopefully it was informative, or someone found it, you know, interesting to watch or entertaining. Again, these are just some of the mods that I've done to my car personally. I've not gone overboard or extreme. I've just fine-tuned my car, kind of made it my own, things that fit my personality, and everything has performed amazing. I'm not disappointed on any of the things that I've done. Take these for what they're worth. You know, if you have any questions, post your questions, and I'll try to respond as I try to do to all my videos. Again, thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you on my next video. Bye-bye, and have a good day.